Welcome to the People Leaders Podcast, the audio resource for managers and business leaders creating high-performing teams. Join leadership and team development experts Jan and Michelle Turkelson each week as they explore both subjects from every angle. Through practical tips, valuable insights, and compelling interviews with leadership experts around the world, you'll learn how to bring out the best in your staff and how to give your best as a leader.
Hi everyone. Michelle here from People Leaders. Today I'm going to talk to you about executive presence, how to develop it, how to become more skilled at it, and how to feel confident in developing your own style of executive presence. We've had a lot of interest from our clients in recent months about executive presence, so we've done some research and we've put a very practical guide together for you. And this is something that you can work with your coach on your own in developing your executive presence. So let's dive right in. And basically what we've done is we've boiled it down to three key areas in terms of executive presence. It's how you look, how you speak, and how you act. And now that may seem very simplistic. And in fact, by stepping through some of these strategies and guides, it will seem pretty simplistic. But you know what? If we could just increase our competency by 5% in certain areas, it actually gives you the confidence to step in to your own sense of leadership and your own presence. And that's really the underlying message that I'd really like people to get. It's about believing in yourself. And when you start to reflect your true self and your true thoughts and feelings and abilities, then you start to trust yourself. And then when you really trust yourself and have confidence in yourself, it shows and other people start to trust you as well. And so if you could keep that in mind as we're stepping through what seem like very practical, concrete examples of developing your executive presence, you're going to get there. Okay, so let's have a look at the first one. So the first one is how you look. So this is about your appearance. And now it might seem a little bit cliched in terms of, you can't judge a book by its cover. But in fact, people do. We are visual beings. And so people are going to look at your appearance. So this isn't about your physical attractiveness. This is about how well groomed you are, if you're neat, if you're smart looking. And you can always look to see ways to improve that. And if you're looking in the mirror and you think you look, smart and neat, just ask somebody for some feedback. The other thing is to look around in your workplace and have a look at the senior people that you admire, that you feel have a degree of executive presence, and have a look at how they dress. I thought Gail Kelly, ex-Westpac CEO, was a great example of this. She always looked fantastic. So in fact, your packaging does matter to a certain extent. So just have a look. Am I well groomed? And it's just little things like, are your nails clean? Is your hair neat and tidy? Do I have any, am I a little bit grubby looking? If you do, fix yourself up. That's one sure way to improve your executive presence. So that was number one, how you look. Number two, we're going to look at how you speak. So how you speak is made up of the language that you use, your tone of voice, your pace. In fact, it's your ability to communicate clearly, effectively, with clarity. This is fundamental, actually. And so let's have a look at tone of voice, for example. So your tone of voice does communicate power, and it does communicate a sense of authority in a way. So, threat and anxiety can make us speak at a higher pitch or have that upper inflection at the end of a question or a statement. And what that is doing is that's sort of giving the person that you're communicating with or the group an idea of how confident you are. And when we are feeling confident, we are speaking more slowly and at a lower pitch. So if you find yourself not feeling very confident, then just slow it down a little bit. And so, which that leads really nicely into pace. Have a look at your pace. Am I too quick? When I'm nervous, I'm talking really quickly. Have a think about that. If you're not sure, record yourself. That's okay. Or have somebody give you some feedback. The other thing is try not to use flippant and sarcastic language when you are talking, or actually you can be flippant and sarcastic in your tone of voice and your volume. The other thing is, are you speaking loud enough or are you mumbling? And the thing is, it's very difficult to know unless you ask someone for feedback or you record yourself a couple of times. You'll get an idea. Now, there was a really interesting presentation on YouTube by a guy called Alan Weiss. He is an American consultant, very savvy and sassy, and he did a presentation to Harvard Business School. And he talks about the power of language. And he talks about when you can master language, then that is absolutely critical for your success, particularly as a consultant or as somebody who wants to influence others. And one of the tips that he gives is to try and increase your vocabulary, because when you're increasing your vocab, you're increasing your capability to use that vocabulary, and then you become what he calls an object of interest. So people become interested in you. Oh, I haven't heard that before. And so it piques their interest. So have a think about that. And his idea was, read a dictionary, get a word a week, a word a day, and then just start to use it in your communications with people. And so that was tone of voice. Now let's move on to body language, like absolutely critical. This is about how you act. So we've had a look at how you look, how you speak, and how you act. Research shows that more than half of all communication takes place in nonverbal ways. And so when you're speaking, people aren't just listening to your message, they're listening to you. So it's really sometimes a little bit about what you say, but it's about how you behave and how you deliver what you say. Now, I'm going to make reference to a couple of people, and one of them is Amy Cuddy. She has a great TEDx talk and a really good book called Presence. And I'll put those references that I make in this podcast in our notes page. So Cuddy says that, one way to improve your body language when you are with people is to take a more expansive stance. And so she said, when we expand ourselves physically, we feel more powerful. And so she said, when you can and she started to do these experiments. So when you can actually stand in that Superman pose, where you've got your hands on your hips, then you feel more expansive. And then when you feel more expansive, you think more expansive, and then this sort of cycle starts internally. And if you can start to use some of those power postures with people, but not in a super overt way, but just stand with more confidence, pull your shoulders back and down. When you're in full alignment physically, then there's less stress on your joints. And when there's less stress, you can be more of who you are. And so I really encourage you to think about, so how do I stand when I'm communicating with people? Am I open? Am I, my tummy tucked in and my shoulders are back and down? Am I smiling? Am I sitting up straight? Because when you can just shuffle yourself around and pull your shoulders back, sit up straight, tuck your tummy in, you just will feel more assertive and more confident, and you'll be putting less stress on your body, and then you can be more of who you really are. The other thing that I would always encourage is to make eye contact with people. The way that you make eye contact with people and your posture, just those two things are really going to reflect an image for people about how you are and who you are. So, as I said before, 55% of all communication is through your body language, which includes your posture. So, no slouching, stand straight, and feel as much as you can, successful and confident. Now, let's have a look at gestures now. So, we've had a look at how we look, how we speak, and how we act. One of those elements in our body language and how we act are our gestures. So basically gestures are a specific body movement basically that reinforce the verbal message that we're trying to get across. And they're probably the most evocative form of non-verbal communication that we can use. So no other kind of physical action can enhance your presence in as many ways as gestures can, and they are fully and readily available to you all the time. So this is how you move your hands and your head and your body. So I'll give you two tips, two ideas. So always respond naturally to what you're thinking and saying, like stay in integrity. At the beginning of the podcast, I talked about this underlying thought pattern that you can have is like, be who you really are. And if you can be comfortable in who you really are, you will exude presence, because there is nothing more attractive than authenticity. So one, respond naturally to what you think and say and feel. And the trick really is not to suppress the impulse to gesture, like be as natural as you possibly can. And also the other tip is that gestures basically should be an outgrowth of your own unique thoughts and feelings. So let them arise naturally and habitually from, the attitude that lies behind your message. Be who you really are. Be comfortable in your own skin. Now, the other thing that I would add about gestures is that really when you look at all good speakers, they all gesture really well. And why is that? Because gestures clarify, they support your words, they dramatize your ideas, and actually they're more like visual aids. So use them as visual aids. They're highly visible. As you know, we are visual human beings. And they stimulate audience participation. And if you've noticed, sometimes when you clap, you might get the audience clapping as well. Or when you laugh, you'll find that the audience is laughing. What we do want to do, we always want to build rapport. So does the audience, not just you. So to sum up, building your executive presence, the underlying thing is to be yourself, be happy with who you are, and let your words and your body reflect your honest thoughts and feelings as much as you can. So it is about how you look, your appearance and dress, how you speak, your tone, your pace, the language you use, and also how you act, your posture, your gestures, your expression, and your body language. So that was a short, sharp introduction to executive presence. We've got a template for you to use and some notes, and we hope you find it useful, and good luck. Bye for now.
You've been listening to the People Leaders Podcast with Michelle and Jan Turkelson. For show notes and other free resources, please visit us at peopleleaderspodcast.com. Do you know someone else who could benefit from cutting-edge leadership and management techniques? Please take a moment to share this and other episodes via your podcast app, email, or social media channels. Each share helps us fulfill our goals of reducing workplace stress and increasing job satisfaction for leaders, managers, and their teams worldwide. The People Leaders Podcast is brought to you by the Experts On Air Podcast Network.